Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Wisdom series. I'm delighted today to have a leader with over 30 years of business transformation, digital transformation, operational excellence at multinational companies. Until recently, he was the head of customer and technology solutions, which also included GBS at Novartis. And prior to that, he led a very similar role at Syngenta. He also has experience as a controller at Rubbermaid, and most importantly today, he serves on the advisory board of SSON, where he's also a judge for the Best GBS Awards. He's also on the advisory board of High Radius and O9 Solutions, and he's on the board of directors of Aokah. Robert, welcome to our session today.
Thank you, Atul. Pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. So Robert, we'll just get started right away with kind of GCC setup because we're seeing a very significant growth in that market. So in one or two moves, what should a company get right when setting up its first GCC? And what is the most common mistake that kills momentum in year one?
I think setting up a GCC is a transformational journey. And with any big transformational journey in a corporation, you got to be really sure why you're doing this. Why are you going about this change, right? And that means that the senior leadership of the company needs to be aligned on exactly that question. Are we doing this to attract talent? Are we doing this to make a big dent in our cost base? Or is the mix of both?
Yeah.
Be sure about the why, because the why determines how you're going to go about it. And unfortunately, I've seen too many is where people sort of go into a transformation because it's like everybody else does it, right? And so it must be the right thing. So be clear about why this is good for you as a company, how it helps you accelerate the implementation of your enterprise strategy. If you know that, you're going to make the right decisions.
Right. Robert, to that point, those are the ones that will then drive your decision about location, right? What kind of work you're going to do, what kind of leadership you need. Absolutely.
There you go.
So Robert, what is the one shift in the GBS playbook over the last 18, 24 months that you see that leaders intellectually understand, but operationally they haven't acted on yet? What would that be?
I think the one thing I find a lot of GBS organizations, GBS leaders sort of struggle with at the moment is, of course, this whole notion of AI and what it means for GBS, right? Because it's big. I mean, AI means potentially a lot for many industries, for many operations, but definitely also for GBS. So you sort of see this urge with many GBS leaders to say, look, I got to do something here. It's important.
Right.
I got to move. I got to start, right? But what those leaders do understand, because they've been through it, is that your fundamentals matter.
Yeah.
So having your process clean, having your data clean, having your tech stack clear are the fundamentals for a successful AI journey. And those leaders know that because it's not different from where you implement any kind of technology, any kind of chips. Being clear in your starting position, having clean processes, clean data, it simply helps. But because there's sort of this whole urge and the whole need to go fast with AI, sometimes I see people, let's just forget about that for now. Let's just do stuff, get some use cases in and get going. So that's definitely one thing I'm seeing quite a bit these days. Yeah.
So Robert, just on that, you make a very good point, right? So where is AI already changing outcomes in GBS today? And where are you seeing leaders confusing experimentation with impact?
Look, I'm seeing loads and loads of really fantastic use cases across GBS of AI. The most obvious one that I'm sure we've all experienced as consumers as well is this whole business of chatbots. And AI is definitely making those chatbots a lot better. A lot better, language better, understanding better, context better. So that's absolutely there. And you're seeing 30-40% productivity on the service desk on the back of it. So that's clear. That's where the LLMs are making their play, making their impact. But actually, the more profound things I'm seeing is where companies are using AI to look at the history of knowledge they have, for example, on incidents, on issues.
Yeah.
And letting the AI learn on all those issues to do preventative and predictive work. And that's where you actually not just the operation more efficient, you make the experience more seamless because issues go away.
Yeah.
So that whole preventative predictive play is something I've got quite a few examples I've come across now. I think, yeah, that's very cool. And that's AI in really high value areas.
Yeah, Robert, that's exactly where when I think about the future of the company that I'm leading, Aokah, I think of that, right? What can you prevent? Where can you be more resilient?
That's right.
So you talked about value, like when you were talking about initially, like why are you doing that? So where are you seeing measurable enterprise value created by GBS today that boards actually care about, not just efficiency metrics?
Yeah. One of the mega trends, I would say, in the GBS industry is the move from the traditional back office functions, finance, HR, procurement, IT, into what I call business specific services. That move is big. It's playing all across the industry, and definitely the leading GBS teams are big time into providing business specific services. And then, of course, something that company leaders care about, because, for example, if as a GBS team, you become really good in optimizing your supply chain for your enterprise, it matters. If you become really good in redesigning customer experience for your enterprise, it really matters. And there's now many GBS teams out there that are providing customer experience services, that are providing supply chain services, for example, that are making a real bottom line and top line impact for those enterprises. And these are business specific services. So they're not like the standard
Back office. Yeah.
back office, everybody can do it. No, this is, you got to know your business. You got to really understand your customers. You got to understand your operations. And really good GBS teams at the moment are super relevant in that space.
On that point, Robert, more companies are adopting a GBS-like model, right? And some start with maybe one GCC, but many are kind of adopting the overall arching GBS model. So if a GBS leader started today, what is the first irreversible decision you think they must get right? And what is the mistake that is the hardest to recover from?
Look, like any leader, and I'm a big believer in that. Leadership is about creating the culture, creating the teams around you that are gonna go on the journey with you. So the first thing any leader needs to do is get a great team around him or her. I mean, it is that obvious. There's not a single GBS leader out there that can pretend they understand this whole play of the GBS industry. There's no way. It's way too wide, way too complex. So you need people in specific domains, in specific functions that actually help you. And I, for one, have learned over the years that I've done this, that I'm definitely not the smartest person in the room. And I definitely need all the brains in the room to make the right decisions. So getting the right leaders around you, it matters. Yeah. It matters a lot.
That's great advice. As I think about that, I also think about, often growth comes because you have to unlearn something. So what is one comfortable belief that you know about GBS and GBS leaders that they must unlearn if they are going to stay relevant over the next few years?
I've spoken quite a bit about, and I still see too much, I think, is this sort of almost like obsession with GBS leaders, with SLAs and KPIs, being really busy with the operational excellence part of your job and being really focused on the inside of the engine room, sort of working off GBS, which is explainable because many GBS leaders come from being a functional expert. They've grown up as an IT expert or as a finance expert, and they're real deep functional experts. They really love process. They love data. They love the nuts and bolts because that's why they're good at the job. But actually, to make a real difference as a GBS leader isn't about the inside of the engine room. It's about the customer.
Yeah.
It's about falling in love with the customer and making sure that the customer actually is successful. That's what makes the real difference. So the unlearning is there, I think.
Yeah, that's a really good takeaway. So Robert, for my final question, if you had to leave GBS leaders with one thought they should act on this quarter, what would it be?
Be bold, be courageous, aim high in terms of what you and your GBS team can do for your enterprise. Don't hide, don't shelter away. Think about what is the biggest impact you can make for your enterprise. And how do you get there? Be bold.
Yeah, stand up. I think you've given a lot of good takeaways in terms of focusing on the customer, be clear about your objectives, know why you're doing it. Don't get just wrapped up in operational metrics, and remember your customer. Robert, thank you so much for joining today. And I'm sure we'll have you back again on our another episode of this Wisdom series. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks, Atul.
Thank you.